Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2021 Rimac Nevera. Now this is a car that we've been looking forward to for a very long time on these Forza games, because we've for the longest time had the Concept 2, which was basically the concept version of this car for a very long time. So yeah, it's finally nice to get the full fat production version of this car. Production started in 2021 with 150 being planned to be built, and yeah, it's a huge leap forwards for full production electric cars, especially in terms of electric hypercars, as yeah, this is without a doubt one of the most powerful cars ever made, and yeah, certainly one of the fastest in terms of acceleration as well. So yeah, and it's really nice to have it in this game, because unlike the Concept 2, we can look at the car in a bit more detail. As you can see, some of the electrical gubbins are in there, and yeah, unlike the Electric 2, this has big old butterfly doors, so yeah, which are all nicely done, and the interior looks pretty damn good as well. Got a nice LCD screen, or LED screen, or whatever it's called, and then yeah, but a lack of buttons, but not so much so that, you know, there are no buttons for the essential controls and stuff like that. It's all very nicely well appointed. A little bit boring, I'd say, considering it's pretty much all just like grey and blacks and stuff, but still, it looks functional enough. And then you've got the rear end as well, which has a reasonable sized boot for a car of this type. But the headline figures are the horsepower and torque that you get from this car. So from its 4 liquid cooled permanent magnetic synchronous electric motors, one for each wheel, it has 1,893 horsepower. On top of that, you got 1,739 pounds-feet of torque. So yeah, monumental numbers. In comparison to the Concept 2, that is actually 6 horsepower more and 44 pounds-feet of torque more as well. But it needs that extra bit of power because it does also weigh more. Being the full production version, it's going to have extra creature comfort, so extra bodywork and the like that the Concept 2 did not have, so it weighs 441 pounds more at 4,740 pounds, which is obviously quite a lot. But surprisingly enough, that's not hindered its acceleration or handling or braking all that much at all, really, especially in terms of the handling and acceleration, as this is as quick to 60 and to 100 as the Concept 2, and handles just as good, if not better. It's only really the braking that is a little bit worse for wear because of the extra weight, which is to be expected. Extra weight means more momentum to slow down, and when you've got so much power and such ludicrous acceleration, you know you're going to have quite a lot of momentum behind this car. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. Right, so here we are at the drag strip. Now, one cool thing about this car is you can turn it into a drift machine, as you can basically turn off the front motors, both for each wheel, and therefore you've got pretty much all of the power, or most of the power, going through those rear wheels, which makes it a very slidey, very hard to control car, but also a very good drift machine. But we're going to keep it in track mode, as we are going to be going on the track after we go on this drag strip, and in track mode it is at its fastest. So yeah, let's see how quick we can go before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll get onto the track. So yeah, absolutely ludicrous acceleration, as you can see. It's probably going to be one of the, if not the fastest car that we're going to have going past this speed camera. 207 miles an hour in such a short space of time is absolutely monstrous. So yeah, before we hit this track, we will just quickly get it into drift mode so you can see what it's like to handle it. So yeah, it's very difficult to get off the line. As you can see, it's the RPM is juddering there because of all that power going for just the rear wheels. But yeah, it will slide around very, very easily. So much more so than ever standard. It is difficult to control, no doubt about that, given all of the torque and horsepower that's going through those rear wheels. And it's not something that it's typically set up to do, but it does work. And yeah, if you're into your drifting, then yeah, you're really going to enjoy getting to grips with this and sliding it around. But I'm not a drifter, I'm not the best at drifting normally, never mind with such ludicrous amounts of power. So yeah, we're going to keep it firmly in track mode when we hit the track, so let's just switch that. Right, So let's look at the stats. So yeah, we're well up to the top range of S2 class, and yeah, as you can see, speed, acceleration and launch are all excellent. Braking, like I said, isn't quite as good as the Concept 2, and neither is the handling as good as you'd expect for a car of the amount of power it's got, but it is slightly better in terms of handling than the Concept 2. No idea why. Maybe the aerodynamics have been tweaked to just make it, you know, have a bit more downforce on the go. But yeah, as you can see, the acceleration is apparently not as good, but like I said, the 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 times are actually just as good. It could well be with the extra weight that as it gets faster it gets slower, so maybe that's why the acceleration isn't as good. But yeah, you can see the braking isn't as good, which is the main difference between the two. There is a couple of mile an hour in terms of the top end, but that's pretty negligible, to be honest. So yeah, let's see what we can do around this track. Now there is a Rivals mode event to do on the festival playlist, so you can try this car out before you actually, you know, try and get it in the festival playlist for 20 points. So yeah, but I'll let you listen to the car for a little bit first. It does make some noise despite being an electric car, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, for a car that has this much weight and all that horsepower and torque, it is surprisingly a good handling car. Noticeably different over the concept car, which I found to have a bit too much in the way of understeer, but this, yeah, is a lot more balanced and a lot, you know, easier to get a hold of considering how much power it's got going on. And yeah, 0 to 60 is dealt with in a insane 1.85 seconds. And 0 to 100 is dealt with in 4.3 seconds. Like I said, that's both of those times are the same as the concept car, and it will go on to a top speed of 259 miles an hour. Only a couple of miles an hour slower than the concept car, but it is obviously slower. But again, I think that's because the aerodynamics have been tweaked a little bit to make it an overall better handling and easier car to drive. So yeah, monumentally impressive car. Really, really do like driving this. I am a big fan of EVs in the normal circumstance, but when it's, you know, taken to this extreme, it's just, yeah, hilariously fun. And yeah, you don't really miss the engine noise because you're just marvelling by how fast it's going, how well it's dealing with the corners given the weight and all of that. And yeah, the brakes could be better, definitely could be a little sharper, especially in comparison to the concept car, but overall, yeah, it's really well balanced and much easier to drive than the standard, well, the concept car. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what Rimac do next, because if they're going to top this, then yeah, they're probably going to be going over 2,000 horsepower with their next car. So yeah, which I'm really looking forward to seeing, no matter what it is though. So yeah, like I said earlier, you can get this in the festival players for getting only 20 points. Well worth getting just for only those 20 points, which are pretty easy to get. Get it in less than half an hour, quite frankly. So yeah, get out there and get this car. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it if you've driven it already, but if you haven't, it's well worth the effort. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.